Hello and welcome to Coffee with Cafe. I'm Chef Kurt Bachman and I serve as the president of Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. Escoffier is proud and honored to partner with Cafe in hosting these Trends presentations, which help fulfill Cafe's mission of linking the food service classroom with the food service industry. Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts is a learning community, and our goal is to help prepare students for exciting and satisfying careers in the culinary and hospitality industries. We do this by providing professional programs which are focused on sustainability, farm-to-table philosophy, and business operations. Students who choose to study with Escoffier are offered an accredited education through the flexibility of 2 residential campuses or online programs. So thank you again for joining us today, and please enjoy this week's presentation.
Welcome everybody that's on the webinar today. Yet another Zoom webinar for you, but we promise this one will be short and informative. Yeah, so that was, this is me a long time ago, like last week, and that's Adam Moore, our chef, corporate chef. But I obviously had to cut my hair for this presentation. I wanted to look presentable. So that's your presenters today. We can quickly move on from that slide. And what we'll be talking to you today about is a couple of things. One is the Idaho Data Commission. What do we do? We'll take you through a few short slides to let you know what we do and what's available to you, what resources are available to you, particularly those that you might not know of. And then Adam's going to get into talking about some potato innovation, things that you can do that are innovative with Idaho potatoes that help you drive simplicity, portability, profitability, and innovative ways to use Idaho potatoes on loaded applications and those that travel well. And then we'll spend some time at the end with some Q&A. So if you do have questions, as most of you know, at the bottom of the screen there, you've been on enough of these Zoom calls where there's a Q&A button. Feel free to ask us anything that you'd like. I'll start it out. So as the Idaho Potato Commission, what do we do? There's lots of resources that we have. This is just illustrative of 3 of them. We can come in and do ideations for you. If you're interested in an ideation based around your menu or your, let's say, your curriculum. We have a ton of recipes. We have over 1,500 recipes on the website that are in numerous categories that can help you build menus. The other thing that we do on that far right picture is training. We're a unique commodity board in that we have 3 very well-versed promotion directors across the country that can come train you and your staff around Idaho potatoes. Okay, next slide. The slide transition's just taking a second. That's cool. So this is an illustration of a training that one of our promotion directors gave a couple of weeks ago to a culinary school in Arizona. And if you are interested, we would like to extend the invitation to anybody on the call we can come in and conduct a training for you and your students around Idaho potatoes. Goes through the basics of potatoes, storage, handling, a little bit of culinary as well. The other things that we do is we provide branding opportunities on menus. That graphic in the middle is a food service toolkit. Probably the most extensive one piece of information that you could have around Idaho potatoes. We go through potato growing, storage, harvesting, problem solving if you have any issues with your potatoes, preparation methods, storage and handling, cooking techniques, costing. So it's a really comprehensive toolkit, and it's available to you either on the web in PDF format or in hard format as well. The graphic on the right, we also work with operators to put our branding on merchandising. And with branding on merchandising or the menus, we offer some financial assistance as well. That bottom graphic is the truck. The potato truck in a normal year, didn't last year, but in a normal year, it travels the country going to events and parades and festivals. And yes, it even goes to operators. It can go to college universities and so forth. And it tours the country promoting the benefits of Idaho potatoes. And we can also arrange, if the schedule allows it, to stop at a food service operator as well and offer a promotion that day for Idaho potatoes. So there's a wealth of resources available to you to help you. Now, the geography lesson here, because we get confused a lot with Iowa, in the middle of the country, and Ohio. We are in the Pacific Northwest. Believe it or not, we do get, there is some confusion around that. And that's one of the reasons that we grow the best potatoes in the country, because of where we are. We have in the summertime a lot of warm days, a lot of sunshine, cool nights, allows the plant to rest, and really rich volcanic soil and ample irrigation as well from the snowpack. So ideal location to grow potatoes. Next. So when most people think of Idaho potatoes, they think of russet Burbanks or russet Norcotas or just a russet potato overall. A lot of times people will use us synonymously with russets and say, oh, it's an Idaho potato. But we do a lot more than just russet potatoes. We have fingerling potatoes. We have varieties of yellow potatoes, different varieties of yellow potatoes, different varieties of red potatoes, purple Peruvian potatoes. So there is a whole host of products that can meet any one of your potato needs just based on getting it from Idaho. So it's a lot more than just russets. I'm going to turn it over to Adam, and he's going to talk about innovation and loading and all sorts of fun things to do with Idaho potatoes that can help inspire you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Alan. Can you hear me okay? Can I get a thumbs up? Awesome. So before I get started, I wanted to take just a step back because I know I'm talking to a lot of instructors and those that are teaching students that are coming fresh out of school and into the industry that we all love. And when I started my journey about over 20 years ago, and when I left college, I was really in the mindset of just thinking that I would either go to work in a restaurant or I would go work at a hotel. I never really thought of like all the other roles and different types of positions that I could take as a culinarian. And lo and behold, after that time, I became a corporate chef. And part of the role of the corporate chef and my role with Idaho potatoes is bucketed in three of the following categories. So first, what I do with Idaho potatoes is I'm here to inspire. So inspire with new recipes, inspire with new menu development, what can be done with potatoes, for example, all under the lens of recipe development. The next is to educate. So taking the skill set that I learned not only in culinary school, but bringing that forth as a way to educate in the world of potatoes. So not just through the lens of recipe development, but also about the potato itself. So we're here to educate, not just with cooking method, but also with product. And then finally, this was something that I learned over time and not exactly immediately out of school. And that was the ability to connect with others. And I learned that my network is my net worth. And this is something that I think is really challenging, even as a chef, because we're so used to just being in the back of the house and away from the front of the house and in front of the public. And so as a chef, what I learned over time was to continually build my network. And especially within this role, we're always trying to create connections within this industry, and it's a big industry, but it's a very small world. So it's really important to connect with others, to network, because that creates opportunities for everyone within this space. And so how do we create ideas, and how do we create, whether it's new recipe ideas for food service or even into retail, but primarily we focus on food service. And it first starts with understanding our customer. I read something the other day that was just talking about how suppliers that go to visit customers and to show new ideas, how much lack of research that they do before going into the account. And so one of the things that we first start with is understanding the customer guardrails. We want to understand what works for their brand, what works for their customer, as well as like what works for their operation. First, we start with that grounding. And then next, we move into more or less the trends and insight bucket, which is just what's going on in the world, what's going on with consumer behavior. We track all the major data warehouses that are around the country that feed tons of information around what foods are trending, what formats are trending. But we also want to make sure that we're keeping an eye to what's going on in the world around us. And I think this past year has been probably one of the most challenging years for operators, for marketing boards, for suppliers. And that's why it's really important to just see, and it's been a rapidly shifting year with consumers, to see what's going on around you before you start loading on the extra layer of what flavors are trending, what formats are trending, so on and so forth. That really helps guide your development. And then finally, through our own experience and intuition, based on all of this together, that's how we create some of these, where I call it creating the magic, or in our case, creating the next hot potato idea. But first, just like with recipes, we want to start with the basics. I mean, I want to say almost every single recipe that is around today is built off the classics. And the same is with potatoes, is that before we start to innovate, we first want to focus with operators, with a classroom, for example, on making sure that everyone understands the basics with cooking with potatoes. So whether that's perfecting a crisp, crunchy potato chip, whether that's creating the perfect baked potato, perfect roasted potatoes, or even the classic French fry, we first want to make sure that you're getting that right. And that's, where Alan had mentioned with our promotional directors, they're all over the country, including myself. We're all over the country when we can travel to work with those operators hand in hand. And even now virtually, if we can help them troubleshoot either over the phone via Zoom call or other, we're there to help support them to make sure that they're able to get the basics right first. And so what does recipe innovation look like today? It looks something like this. We have found that almost all operators at any given stage are looking now for simple, portable, and profitable recipes. And potatoes fit perfectly within that. From a simplicity standpoint, operators are looking to do more with less. So whether that means less steps in the kitchen or less ingredients, we want to make sure that those solutions are simple. No more 20-step or 20 ingredient processes. Also leaning on ready-to-use type products too is something that really fits in this type of category. Portable. Potatoes are a superstar when it comes to portability. They keep their heat longer, or if we're wanting to keep them cold, like with a potato salad, they keep their chill longer too. They're a great portable superstar. And then around profitability, we know that operators are struggling nowadays, and they're trying to get more into the black as we go into these future years. And profitability is important. And potatoes, we have received so much feedback now of how potatoes are this profitable superstar for them, this profitable foundation for their recipe development. And here are a few examples of how that comes to life. So from a simplicity standpoint, simple smashed Idaho fingerling potatoes. This came from Cooper's Hawk restaurant, where it's just simple smashed with a nice little citrus and herb vinaigrette. So very simple there. The recipe can be found on our website too. For a portable superstar, hash is a great one, and we can put all different types of flavor profiles on a hash as we're giving that to go. Now you might be wondering, like, how the heck do you do a sunny side egg in a to-go box? It is possible, but there's also many different options too there with all those ingredients. The idea here is the hash holds its temperature well and even can be reheated later. And then finally, around profitability, this is a traditional Idaho potato latke, but we're adding an on-trend ingredient that also brings incremental value to this menu item with koji. So a simple recipe, it's simply all you have to do is mix in shio koji into cream, let it sit, and now you're playing in an on-trend flavor profile that can help build incremental value to a menu item like this. And also having it as that base of potatoes as well. So the next thing we like to do, especially nowadays, is we're starting to shift the expectation of the customer. So expectations and perceptions of what they're about to receive. We know that French fries, I'm going to pick on French fries a little bit because we know that French fries are challenging and off-premise. I mean, really, and off-premise, what I mean by off-premise is like within delivery. We know that French fries are best straight out of the fryer, minutes out of the fryer. It's a challenge even in most operations to deliver a hot and crisp French fry. I mean, we see it all the time. But with off-premise, it's especially challenging. And so we want to take that hot and crispy perception that is now, as it gets to the end customer, warm and soggy, and shift that a bit. So how do we shift that? We do something like this, where maybe you've seen poutine, but this is where the whole theme of loaded comes into play, is now we're shifting from this hot and crispy to this loaded and layered French fries. So we're still able to serve French fries, but yet the perception and the expectation for that end customer is that it's going to show up a little bit soggy with the gravy, or it's going to show up ooey and gooey with some cheese, but it's going to be lowered. It's going to be layered with flavor. And so shifting that expectation simply with French fries, we've found to be fairly successful. And then getting into chips, it's the same way too. If you have a challenge with keeping chips hot and crisp, you can always try loading and layering those as well. So a couple examples here with that top example right is with a little bit of shaved prosciutto and Parmesan cheese. And then in the bottom right are these tavern chips that really borrowed a lot of the equities, the flavors and textures and ingredients of the classic poutine. So you've got gravy, cheese, and herbs over the top of that. Another way, another item that we found to be particularly exciting right now is potato salad. And we really want to shift the expectation of grandma's classic potato salad, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we want to start with those into something a little bit more exciting. And this is how we've done it. There's a lot of different, what we call levers or layers, or you could even call it opportunities to innovate with something as simple as a potato salad. For example, you've got many different flavors. So whether it's more traditional, whether it's global flavors, that's one area to start with as a way to innovate with potato salad. Also textures. Are there different types of toppings or ingredients that you can include, like breadcrumbs or fried onions, for example, or even mustard seed, like the nice little pop of mustard seed to add texture within something like a potato salad. Then you've got the format. I mean, this example here that you see in front of us, this is a modern take on potato salad from a friend of ours, a chef friend of ours in Cleveland. But it's really taking all that inspiration. Like, this is to the extreme with potato salad, but it's really showing you how you can pull upon each one of these levers here. And one is format. So is it the classic russet potato? Is it fingerling potatoes? Is it a red potato or a yellow potato? Or are you completely shifting that format completely, like you see in front of you here with a potato crisp? So a lot of different ways, just even through those first three levers, that you can really innovate with potato salad. And then last, you've got temperature, which can be either hot, cold, room temperature, as well as visual appeal. What are some of those other ingredients or textures that you can do to drive more color, for example, to potato salad? So here's a few examples off our website. Taking something as simple, like in the top left there, as potato tots, and turning that into a potato casserole. So that's one that like really leans into format. Same with the fingerling salad that's in the bottom middle there. And you see some of those fried onions that are off to the side there. Those are some of those textural ingredients. And then for visual appeal, you've got all the different colors. And speaking of visual appeal, as you move into that top right example, as well as with flavors and really leaning into more global flavors from around the world, we've got this beautiful smoky Spanish inspired potato salad. Now, profitability is important, so I'll briefly touch over cross-utilization, and this is with the baked potato and all the different ways that it can be used. First, we've got crispy and torn, which we're literally taking leftover baked potatoes, tearing those up and deep frying those. They get super crispy. They hold up great in delivery applications. Absolutely love using them that way. You've also got the classic loaded potato skins. We can move into more like twice baked and 3 times baked as well. And then also loaded. So like there's so many different things that you can do with a loaded potato. And this is a way to drive more increased value to something like a loaded baked potato. And this is what I like to call loaded luxury. This one's with some beautiful artisan Gruyere cheese topped with shaved truffles. So what's next? We just recently launched the now 100% plant-based Idaho potato line. I can't hear anybody laughing. You know, comedy's tough, but this is how we next think of innovation with Idaho potatoes. And these are some things that we've done in the past. So using potatoes, for example, in Johnny cakes or pancakes there, like on the top left, what we have found is that with pancakes in a delivery application start to become chewy and rubbery. And using russet potato within the pancake itself actually helps maintain some of that texture as well as that moisture and helps get around that rubbery texture within something like pancakes or potato cakes. Next is potato takoyaki. So this is a classic Japanese dish, basically a pancake dough that we mix in with some of those diced potatoes, but we're also able to bring in some of the equities of a traditional loaded baked potato into that little poppable format. We've also done things across vegan and vegetarian with Impossible Burger and Idaho potato lollipops. On the right there, we've got very similar to the pancake, but also using it in this classic Italian donut type recipe. Again, it leads to like a nice, moist, fluffy mouthfeel. And that's the potato bomboloni there to the right. And then if an operation can't utilize fresh, we also provide dehydrated products through the brand Idahoan. And this is where a couple examples of what can be done with that as a dehydrated product, like these stuffed pizza bites on the left. Being from Chicago, I absolutely love these. You know, these remind me of almost like a deep dish pizza bite. So a little tomato sauce, little pepperoni chunks, as well as sausage chunks, all wrapped with hash brown, those dehydrated Idaho potatoes. And then on the right, leaning into honey butter. If you've never had honey butter chips, I recommend checking out a few recipes and trying those. They're like crack, but this is perfect. These are taking that honey butter chip idea and turning them into more like this pretzel bite using those dehydrated Idaho potatoes as well. Oop, skipped one, I think. Nope. And then more of a modern take on a dumpling. So we can always go back to some of the classics there that you see on the left, as well as this example from an operator in Chicago on the right, which potato bean bread from an operator called Parachute here in the city of Chicago. And then a couple other ideas that we're really leaning into more familiar or traditional formats. On the left, we're taking some of those ideas, like the format of the pork chicharron, and turning that into a potato chicharron. And that's using fresh potatoes that we then take and deep fry, dehydrate and then deep fry. And then top right, we've got a twice baked Idaho potato bite. These are like meant to be little mini morsels. And then taking the traditional Spanish flauta and using potato. Whoa, what just happened there? Let's get back on that.
An attack of the gremlins.
Yeah, something. So are we back on? Can we see that again?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so yeah, and then the classic Spanish flauta that's in the bottom right there, taking that tortilla and instead turning that into having like a potato strip that we roll around a tubing and stuff that with a little bit of Mornay sauce. Just a beautiful little bite. And so lastly, I want to leave everyone, something to take back to the classroom. And this is a concept sheet that I like to use more or less to just draw out sparks of ideas if you're thinking about either creating an idea or doing something with potatoes. So first starting there in that top left box of potato format. So that's where we're talking about, is it a variety of potato? Is it a sliced potato, a diced potato? Is it cut into French fries? What are those ideas? So with students, like we can get them thinking about all the different layers and components of a dish before actually sketching this out or creating it. And so writing those idea sparks down as a start. What are the different types of flavors? Like, is it a traditional flavor? Is it more of a global flavor? That's what we put in there, as well as textures, ingredients, or methods that drive texture or visual appeal, as well as cooking method, because potatoes get a bad rap with cooking, with just by the way that they're cooked. So outside of deep frying, what are some of those other healthier cooking methods, such as steaming, boiling, poaching, even roasting, that can be employed into a new recipe? And then with plate and packaging, what are the ways to think about it, whether you're eating on premise or serving it off premise in a delivery application? What are those considerations? So from on premise with a hot plate to off premise with something that either holds heat, helps pull away moisture, helps keep foods hot and crisp. What are those things that need to be considered? So out of all those sparks, then creating a nice little sketch there. And then finally, I'll leave you with this to show all the versatility that you can do with Idaho potatoes. That Idaho potatoes make French fries, chips, and vodka. It's like the other vegetables aren't even trying. So that's it for you. I want to thank all of you for having us today. We appreciate the opportunity to present this material, but also are here to be a resource for you, for your school, as you see fit moving forward.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate that. If anybody does have any questions, we're happy to answer them at this time. If not, as Adam indicated, there are a wealth of resources on our website for your utilization. And my number's there, my email's there if you have any questions as well. Let's go to the question box. Why is Adam's hair so much better than yours?
It takes quite a bit of time in the morning when I get up to do this, Alan. So
I think it's genetics. Okay, well, hey, just want to thank everybody as well. Appreciate you spending your Friday morning or Friday afternoon with us, wherever you might be. And have a great weekend. And again, if you got any questions, there's my contact information. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.